It was 2:30 a.m., and the night outside my window was stretched thin like a curtain of ink, silent, unmoving, holding its breath. My room felt unusually cold. Not the kind of cold that makes you shiver, but the kind that settles deep inside your bones, like a warning delivered quietly. For the past few weeks, I had been noticing something strange. Every night, exactly at 3 a.m., something moved in my backyard. Not footsteps, not whispers, just movement, caught only by my security camera, never by my own eyes. I'm an investigative YouTuber. I live for mysteries. I thrive on uncovering the truth people prefer not to look at. My audience had been demanding a new case, something real, something raw. Little did I know that the next case wasn't something I'd find. It was something that had already found me. The movement began subtly, a shadow flickering across the grass, the faint outline of something tall passing behind the old tree, a shape forming where no human should be standing. At first, I convinced myself it was just an animal, a raccoon, a stray dog, a trick of light. But then I saw the footage from 2 nights ago. A tall silhouette, tall moving without bending its knees, gliding more than walking, and stopping directly beneath my window. Just standing, looking up, no eyes. Just a hollow pit absorbing the night. That was the moment I understood. This wasn't an animal. This wasn't a glitch. This was something I needed to document, record, expose. So tonight, I set up everything. Triple-checked the camera, charged the batteries, cleaned the lens. Because tonight, at 3 a.m., whatever visited my backyard, I was going to face it. At 2:45 a.m., I positioned the camera at the exact angle that showed the entire backyard. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, leaving the world in a heavy, colorless shadow. The old tree in the backyard, its branches tangled and leafless, stood, stiff like an ancient guard, its crooked silhouette scraped against the sky. The air smelled of damp soil and cold wind. I adjusted the tripod, locked the frame, and turned on night vision. Green hues washed over the view. Every blade of grass shimmered faintly. The dark corners grew deeper. I checked the clock. 2:57 a.m. My heart was already beating harder than it should. There's something about waiting for the unknown that stretches each second into something heavier. I sat down at my desk, coffee cup in hand, the camera screen glowing in front of me. 2:59 a.m. The world seemed to pause. It felt as though the night itself leaned closer, waiting to witness whatever was coming. And then, 3 a.m., the grass in the center of the yard trembled. Not from the wind, not from an animal. It trembled like something beneath the soil was waking up. The center patch of grass lifted. Not uprooted, not pushed aside, but lifted, as if something was trying to stand. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. But no, my camera confirmed it. Something rose from the ground, a shape, dark, human-like, but wrong in every possible way. It didn't climb out of the soil. It emerged out of it, as if it had been part of the earth itself. Its body wasn't solid. It was like a thick smoke taking the vague outline of a person. The edges of its form kept dissolving and reforming, refusing to stay stable. My breath caught in my throat. Slowly, it lifted its head, if that shapeless mound could even be called a head, and turned toward my window. Its face was blank. Just 2 empty indentations. Then eyes to dim red points ignited inside the hollows. A quiet glow like dying embers. I felt as if the temperature in my room had dropped instantly. My fingers trembled as I zoomed in. The creature didn't walk, didn't crawl, didn't glide. It circled. It began to move in a slow, deliberate circle in the center of the yard, around and around, tracing the same repeated path, each rotation sharper, faster, more defined, like a ritual, like a sign. Then it stopped exactly in the center, and its head twisted in an unnatural angle, bending backward until it faced me upside down. A deep, silent dread rolled down my spine. The moment I zoomed further, my camera began glitching. Lines streaked across the display. Static crawled up the screen like insects made of electricity. The image warped, then snapped, then distorted again. The night vision struggled. The creature's body flickered between pixels and shadows. Suddenly the feed went crystal clear, and that clarity chilled me more than any distortion. The creature was no longer in the yard. It was at my window. But here's the horrifying part. When I looked physically, outside the actual window, nothing. Pitch black, yard, silent, empty. But on the camera screen, it stood inches from the glass. Its hollow face leaned toward the lens, as if it could see me through the camera. Then its mouth opened. I couldn't hear a sound, but its lips moved slowly, forming shape after shape, as if speaking a sentence from a place that didn't know language. And in the clearest frame of all, I read its whisper, "Not alone." The screen cut to black. My room felt like it had stopped breathing. I forced myself to stand. Maybe it's a malfunction, I told myself, though every cell in my body knew better. I stepped back from the desk. The floor creaked. Then TCK, 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 a scraping sound, coming from the wall behind me. Something was dragging its nails, its claws against the other side of the wall. Slow, deliberate, as if tracing the outline of my body through the plaster. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, drowning out everything else. I leaned close, almost unwillingly, and pressed my ear to the wall. At first, nothing. Then a whisper seeped through, barely human. "We are watching." I staggered back. The air in the room thickened. I grabbed the camera with shaking hands, switched it on again, and pointed it at the wall. The wall looked normal until it didn't. Shadows began pooling along the corners, gathering like spilled ink. The camera's temperature meter fell rapidly, showing numbers that shouldn't be possible in a heated room. The scraping stopped. Silence. A silence so dense it felt like a third presence in the room. When darkness took shape, 3:17 a.m., the lights flickered twice, then steadied, but something in the room had changed. The shadows no longer belonged to the objects casting them. One corner of the room, the far left, began to darken unnaturally. Not like the lights were dimming, more like the darkness itself was becoming thicker, heavier, denser. Something dripped. It looked black, inky, but it didn't fall like a liquid. It slithered down the wall like a living shadow. I stepped back, gripping the camera tighter. The shadow began to rise, twist, stretch. It formed arms longer than human arms, legs thin and bent at impossible angles, a torso hollow in the center, and finally, a head shapeless, yet unmistakably aware. It was the same thing from the backyard. But this time, it wasn't an image. It was here, in my room. Its breath was cold enough that I felt frost forming on my skin. When it spoke, its voice didn't echo in the air, it echoed in me. Camera opened the door. "Now we enter." I stumbled backward, knocking over my chair. The creature's body pulsed with subtle waves, like smoke fighting against wind. It stepped toward me, or rather flowed toward me. No escape, no fight. The door behind me slammed shut. A violent gust of cold air circled the room, even though the windows were closed. I lifted the camera, aiming its lens directly at the creature. The moment the camera focused, its form vibrated violently. The edges of its smoky body crackled, breaking apart like burning paper. "Stop looking," it growled, voice a gravelly chorus of many voices stitched together. But I didn't stop. I stepped closer. The camera's infrared light glowed sharply. The creature recoiled, its limbs twisting in frantic, broken movements. The more I recorded it, the more unstable it became. "You cannot stop us," it hissed, its body collapsing inward, rebuilding, collapsing again. Every instinct in my body screamed to run, to hide, to escape, but there was nowhere to go. And then the creature lunged, its arms stretched like smoke whipping through the air. It wrapped around my throat, cold as the bottom of a frozen lake. I gagged, choking. Its faceless head leaned closer, 3 inches from mine. I could feel its presence not on my skin, but inside my mind, like an echo scraping against my thoughts. With the last bit of strength I had, I reached my thumb toward the camera button and triggered the flashlight mode. A violent beam of white light erupted from the device. The creature shrieked, but its scream wasn't sound. It was pressure, a force, a vibration that rattled my teeth and stirred nausea deep in my gut. Its body began to tear apart. Strips of darkness peeled off like burnt fabric disintegrating. Its limbs tried to reform, but the light shredded them. It clawed toward me, desperate. "Light stops us, but darkness remembers." Its final words stretched into a guttural echo that dissolved halfway. Then it collapsed. The shadow dripped to the floor, then evaporated into nothing. The cold vanished. The pressure in the room disappeared. My breathing returned. I fell backward onto the carpet, gasping. After a moment, I crawled toward the camera lying on the floor. The screen was cracked, the lens was fogged, but it still worked, and something was recording. The ending that wasn't an ending at 6 a.m. Sunlight bled through the blinds. I sat at my desk, exhausted, trembling, yet determined to look at the footage. I scrubbed through the timeline. The creature in the yard. its whisper, its appearance in the room. Everything was there. But then a file I didn't record appeared in the folder. A timestamp of 3:29 a.m. I hesitated, then opened it. My blood ran cold. The video showed me, standing perfectly still in the middle of my room, staring directly into the camera. I don't remember standing there. My eyes, they weren't my eyes. They glowed faintly red, like the creature's. Slowly, in the video, I stepped closer, closer, closer. My face filled the frame, expression empty. Then I whispered in a voice that was almost mine, but layered with another. "It's your turn now." The video cut to black. My hands shook violently. I shut the laptop, but the screen flickered back on, and the camera light turned red, recording, even though I hadn't touched it, even though I hadn't turned it on. I looked at the reflection in the dark monitor, and for half a second I saw two glowing red dots looking back at me, not outside, not on the footage, inside my reflection. This wasn't just a 3 a.m. encounter. It was an invitation, a door, and something told me that door didn't close when the creature vanished. It moved, into me, into the camera, into whatever is reading this story now. Because if you've come this far, if your eyes have followed every word, well, check the clock. What time is it? Maybe close to 3 a.m.